Messianic Synagogue. Today, our topic is entitled, Check Your Connection. Check your connection. The scripture verse is taken from John 15. We will read from 9 to 13. And what I will try to do is to give an exegesis on this portion of scripture. From verse 9, he said, "And as the Father had loved me, so have I loved you." He said, "Continue you in my love." He said, "If you keep my commandments, you shall abide in my love, even as I have kept my Father's commandment and abided in his love." So the foundation I'm laying tonight is that we are looking at the love of Yahuwah. We are looking to see what it means to abide in Yahuwah's love. And clearly we see that Yahushua Mashiach, scripture says, he said, "The words that I came, or the words that I speak, they are not my own, but the words that my Father had given me to speak. And he had given me a commandment. And this commandment he gave to us." And here he says, "Abide in his love. These things I have spoken unto you, that your joy might remain in you, and that your joy might be full." Because your joy will remain when you trust in him. And as you trust in Yahuwah, he will continue to deliver you, he will continue to protect you and shield you. He will fulfill all your desire. He said, "And this is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you." Now we know that this here is, some have erroneously interpreted this portion of scripture to say that the commandment is just love one another, is just love. But tonight we will explore the true understanding of love, so that you will understand and have an appreciation for the love covenant. The love covenant. And that's why here he says, "Greater love had no man than this, that a man laid on his life for his friends." Verse 14 says, "And you are my friends, if you do whatsoever I command you." So in conjunction to this, we will also look at Acts 20 verse 27. In Acts 20:27, scripture tells us that Shaul said, "For I have not shunned to declare unto you the whole counsel of Yahuwah." So we are here today declaring the whole counsel of Yahuwah. And many people believe today you only hear only prosperity, only motivational speeches, and all manner of foolishness. But we are called to declare the whole counsel of Yahuwah. The whole counsel is understanding and having an appreciation of Yahuwah's will and his purpose for all of humanity. But in Christianity, what they have done, they have brought forth a theology in that they make people believe that the will of Yahuwah, or as it relates to the whole counsel of Yah, is about justification. So they speak justification by faith, soteriology, and all these other different things that they would speak about. All right? For example, they would talk about the love of Yahuwah. They would talk about the faithfulness of Yah and all these things. And all this is good. But do you truly understand the love of Yah? In Romans 5:5, I always remember the scriptures there. It says to us that while we were yet sinners, Yahuwah died for us. For while we were yet sinners. Hear what it says. "And hope maketh not ashamed." Hope maketh not ashamed, because the love of Yah is spread about in our hearts by the Ruach HaKodesh, which is given unto us. So if we were to take line upon line and precept upon precept, here a little and there a little, then we will have an appreciation in Ephesians 1:12 and 13. In Ephesians 1:12 and 13, we can see here, so we can have an understanding as to what was given to us. I will read from 11. In whom also we have obtained an inheritance, being predestined according to the purpose of him, of Yah, who worketh all things after the counsel of his own will, that we should be to the praise of his splendor, who trusted in Yahushua Mashiach, in whom you all trusted, after that you have heard the word of truth, the basora of your salvation, in whom also after you have believed. For you were sealed with the Ruach HaKodesh of promise. So we have been sealed with the Ruach HaKodesh. So, my brothers and sisters, we see that we have moved away far to a message today of faith only. And many of them, they justify their message, that's Christianity, based on Romans chapter 7. I will go through some of the things in which they believe and which they hold fast to bring about that belief. And I'll show the error of it. He said, know you not, brethren, for I speak to them that know the law, how that the law had dominion over man as long as he liveth. For the woman had not a husband, for a woman which had a husband is bound by that law to her husband so long as he liveth. But if the husband be dead, she is loose from the law of her husband. So then, if while her husband liveth, she be married to another man, she become an adulterer, an adulteress. But if her husband be dead, she is free from that law. So then she is no longer an adulteress, though she be married to another man. Therefore, my brethren, you also have become dead to the law by the body of the Mashiach. And I want us to look at something, because we declare daily that Yahuwah is the same yesterday, today, and forevermore, and that he liveth forever. He is not dead, but he's alive. So we know that nothing, not even the devil, could have killed him on the stake. Not even the devil could have killed him. But we know he reigns forever. He reigns forever. So he's not dead, he's alive. So if he's alive, then the covenant is still valid. So how much husbandman do we have? Do we have two husbandmen? No. Scripture says we are married to one husband. One husband. And that husband is Yahushua HaMashiach, also known as Yahushua Mashiach. So scripture says here, if we read it in the context, it talks about that we become dead to the body of Hamashiach, that you'll be married to another, even to him who is raised from the dead, that we should bring forth fruit unto who? Unto Yah. For when we were in the flesh, the motion of sins, which were by the law, did work in our members to bring forth fruit unto death. But now we are delivered from the law, that being dead wherein we were held, that we should serve in newness of spirit. Hear the key words. We are now called to serve in newness of spirit and not in the oldness of the letter. So look at verse 12. Look at verse 12. As a matter of fact, hold verse 7 right here. Look at Paul dealing with the issue one time, because they say the law is sin and death. And Paul is making it abundantly clear for you in Christianity who teach the people that the law is sin and death. Paul is asking the question, what shall we say then? Is the law sin? Yah forbid. What was Paul's position as it relates to Yahuwah's law? In Romans 6, 1 and 2, well, let's go there quickly and we come back to Romans 7. In Romans 6, 1 and 2, Paul made it abundantly clear that he was not promoting anti-Normanism. Anti-Normanism is hatred for Yahuwah's law, because his law is still valid for the people today. If we do not teach Yahuwah's law and teach men that they ought not to commit adultery or fornication or to lie or steal or to commit whoredom, then guess what? We also are upholders of teaching lawlessness. And Shaul made it clear, he said, what shall we say then? Shall we continue in sin that favor may abound? He said, Yah forbid. For how shall we that are there to sin live any longer therein? So going back to Romans 7, please. So I'm showing you the fallacy of their doctrine. So here we see Paul made it abundantly clear. He said, what shall we say then? Is the law sin? Yahuwah forbid. Yahuwah forbid again and again. Yahuwah forbid. For no, I had not known sin but by the Torah, but by the law. For I had not known lust except the law said, thou shalt not covet. He went on to say in verse 12, and you will see his position as it relates to the law. He said, wherefore the law is Kadash, and the commandments Kadash, just and good. 14 says, for we know that the law is spiritual. Spiritual. The law is spiritual. So how can something be spiritual want to be accomplished in the flesh? And all this is to show you the love of the Most High. Let's go into verse 22. Verse 22 says, for I delight in the law of Yah after the inward man. So what is our position as it relates to this? So Paul is saying, the same law that you are teaching the people that they must despise, Paul is saying it is good. It is Kadash. He said, and I delight in this said law because the law is spiritual. He said, I delight in the law of Yah after the inward man. Why is this so? Because according to Ezekiel chapter 36, verse 26, Yahuwah told Ezekiel to document it. He said here that he will take away the heart of stone. He said, a new heart also will I give you. So this is a spiritual circumcision that Yahuwah will perform, in that he will take away a stony heart, which is a heart of rebellion, a heart of disobedience, and he will now circumcise our heart and put his Ruach HaKodesh in our body. So he gives us a new heart. So I read it to how it is written. A new heart also will I give you, and a new spirit will I put within you, and I will take away the stony heart out of your flesh, and I will give you a circumcised heart. And I will put my spirit within you. So we see that Yahuwah said, he sealed us with the Ruach HaKodesh. So the purpose of you being sealed by the Ruach HaKodesh is that the Ruach HaKodesh will now cause you to continue in the love of Yahuwah. That's why he said that continue ye in my love. Because the Ruach HaKodesh, the Spirit of truth, will cause you to walk in Yahuwah's statutes, and you shall keep his judgment and do them. He said, and you shall dwell in the land that I give to your fathers, and you shall be my people, and I will be your sovereign one. So we see here it talks about a land given to the fathers. He said that you shall be a people unto me, and I will be your sovereign one. So it is important we look at the foundation and understand how things work. Because for Yahuwah, scripture says, Isaiah chapter 41, verse 8. He said, but thou, Yahshua, are my servant, and Jacob, whom I have chosen, the seed of Abraham, my friend. So we see here, it talks about the seed of Abraham. And Yahuwah says that Abraham is his friend. So if we are a friend of Abraham, or we are sons of Abraham, then we are called to be a friend of Yah. How do we become a friend of Yahuwah? We become a friend of Yah when we enter into his covenant of love. When we enter into this covenant. And this is the covenant that you would see that many people despise today. But Yahuwah, he said he had chosen us. We did not choose him, but he chose us for a time like this, that we will declare his righteousness throughout the earth. So, in conjunction to Isaiah, let's look at 2 Chronicle. 2 Chronicle 27. In 2 Chronicle it says, Art not thou Yahuwah, who did drive out the inhabitants of this land before thy people Yasharon, and giveth it to the seed of Abraham, thy friend forever. So he gave it to the seed of Abraham. Where do we see this in scripture? Let's look at Deuteronomy 7, 6 to 9. Because you can never just go into the renewed covenant and come about with a whole doctrine based on the renewed alone. You must go back to origin in order for you to understand the intent of the author. And the intent of the author is Yahuwah. He said here, for thou art a Kadosh people unto Yahuwah. And Yahuwah had chosen us to be a special people unto himself. He is talking here about Yeshua, the seed of Abraham, his friend, above all peoples that are on the face of the earth. So I want you to see something here. Yahuwah had chosen us to be a peculiar people above all the kindred people of the earth, meaning all the other nations of the earth. So all the other nations were not in covenant relationship with Yahuwah. All the other nations had not the knowledge of what sin is. Because Yahuwah had placed the knowledge of sin in his people so that they can be a peculiar nation. He said, and Yahuwah did not set his love upon you. You hear that? Yahuwah did not set his love upon you, the nations, nor choose you. All right, let me read that again. He said, Yahuwah did not set his love upon us, nor choose us because we were more in number than any people. So Yahuwah didn't set his love upon Yeshua because they were more in numbers or anything. For you were few of all the people. So it was based on Yahuwah's choice as it relates to predestination, as it relates to chosen. He went on to say, but because Yahuwah had loved thee, he had loved thee. And we read in Romans 5:5, where it talk about entering into the love of Yah. He said, and because he would keep the oath which he had sworn unto our fathers. So why did Yahuwah choose us? Because Yahuwah had loved Yahshua. And because of this love, this is the love he had with Abraham. How did he establish this love? Abraham was living among the nations, and Yahuwah was to call him out from among the nations and say, come out from your people. And Yahuwah then showed him the promised land and said that wheresoever he set his eyes upon, to the north, south, east, and west, Yahuwah would give him the land. He said that I will bless him that blessed thee. I will curse thee that curse him that cursed thee, and all manner of things. And he told Abraham that his name, he shall be a blessing to many nations. He shall be a blessing to many nations. Abraham, why? How would this be accomplished? By virtue of Abraham's seed. Abraham's seed. So here it says, he reminded us that he would keep the oath which he had sworn unto our fathers. Had Yahuwah brought you out with a mighty hand and redeemed you out of the house of bondmen from the hand of Pharaoh? So we see clearly this redemption was put into Yahshua, Abraham's seed. Know therefore that Yahuwah, he is the sovereign one. He is the faithful one, which keepeth covenant. This is the love covenant, which keepeth covenant and favor with them that love him. With them that what? Love him. How do we know we love him? Scripture says that we know we love him if we keep his commandments. You will see that in 1 John 2:3, that we love Yah when we keep his commandments. And hereby do we know that we know him if we keep his commandments. Verse 5 says, and whosoever keepeth his word, in him verily is the love of Yah perfected. Hereby know we that we are in him. In 1 John 5:3 again, for this is the love of Yah. What is the love of Yah? That we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not grievous. So the love of our husbandman is that we keep his commandments. So how can we now sit back and accept the erroneous teaching of Christianity that teaches you to reject the commandments of the Most High? It didn't say here, for this is the love of Hamashiach. He said, for this is the love of the Father. This is the love of Yahuwah, that we keep his commandments. There's only one commandment. There's only one. And Yahuwah's commandment is based on love. So can you go back to Deuteronomy, please? Where I was before. And let me finish. So we know that his commandment is based on love. Because he said the 10 Commandments is broken down into two. Love for Yahuwah. Shama wa Yashua. Yahuwah Akkad. And he went on to say that not only is he one, but if you love him, you are called to love him with all our heart, and with all our soul, and with all our mind. And in so doing, he said we will teach our children his word when they're lying down, when they're sitting down, when they walk in the streets, wherever they are, we have to teach them. So we know that it is love for Yahuwah and love for our fellow man. Right? As a matter of fact, pull up Leviticus 19:34 quickly, and let's come back to this. So in Leviticus 19:34, you see the commandment here. He said, but the stranger that dwelleth with you shall be as unto you one born among you, and thou shalt love him as thyself, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. I read again. But the stranger that dwelleth with you shall be unto you one as one born among you, and thou shalt love him. Thou shalt love him. So we are called to love the brethren. We are called to love the brethren. So going back to Deuteronomy, he said, know therefore that Yahuwah, our sovereign one, the faithful one, he which keepeth covenant and favor with them that love him and keep his commandments to 1,000 generations. And why it is important, why it is imperative that we speak the whole counsel of Yah? Because we cannot cherry pick. We cannot extract what we want and put our eisegesis into it. We must do a proper exegesis on Yahuwah's scripture, on his word. Because if we was to read our own meaning into Yahuwah's scripture, then what we would have done, we would have distorted Yahuwah's truth. And scripture tells us we must continue in his love. Continue in his love. So going back to John. Going back to John. But before we go there, can we pull up Strong Concordance 28, Hebrew 28:20? Because we have been talking about the love of Yahuwah. And in this, we will see what it means for Yahuwah's love. Kasak. It talks about to restrain. So it tells us the mind of Yahuwah, that because Yahuwah loves us, what does he do? He restrains us from evil. He restrains us from doing evil works, from being disobedient and rebellious. Because he said that we have been created in his image and likeness. And because we have been created in his image and likeness, then by nature, we all have a tendency and we all have an urge and a desire to love him. So in spite of ignorance, we have that desire to love Yah. And for many of them out there, they truly, our Christian brothers and sisters, they truly desire to love Yahuwah. But they are doing it all in ignorance. And such, Yahuwah said, it says to refrain, to refuse, to spare, or to preserve. And that's the love of Yahuwah. That when you obey him, he preserves you. He gives you security. It talks about to observe, to forbear, all right, to hold back, to punish, to reserve, to spare, etc. So the love of Yah is not only about favor, it also talks about punishing. Many of you will know that if you have children and you love them, you will scold them. You will scold them. But in John 15, verse 13, I love the word, where the scripture says to us that greater love had no man than to lay down his life for his friends. Now there are two key words here in that verse. Love. Because we continue to watch and focus on the word love. So he said greater love. And then we look at the word friend. So we are looking at these two words. And the word love and friend, you will see it carries the same definition. It carries the same number. So a friend is one that would love you. Anytime you have a friend that despises you, that is not your friend. Proverbs 17:17. We're talking about, we'll pause on the love and we'll just deal with the friend. Let's look at the friend. Because scripture says that we are a friend of Yahuwah. A friend loveth at all times. And a brother is born for adversity. So a friend do what? Love it at all times. That's what a friend does. Look at 18:24. Proverbs 18:24. In Proverbs 18:24, we see also again, he said, a man that had friends must show himself friendly. And for there is a friend that sticketh closer than a brother. And we know that this friend that sticketh closer than a brother speaks of Yahuwah or Yahushua Mashiach. And it also talks about the body of believers who, when they join together in love, that at times that bond, that spiritual bond, is greater than even the natural bond of your natural descendants. So we see here, it talks about a friend, Strong Concordance, 7453. Look at something here. As it defines what a friend is, 7453. They put Raya to an associate. An associate. So a friend is an associate. A friend can be a brother, a companion, a fellow friend, a husband, a lover, a neighbor. All right? But let us go deeper as it relates to the friend. Strong Concordance 157. 157. 157. You will see that a friend talks about Ahab. Ahab. The word Ahab means to have affection. To have affection. So your friend that must show himself friendly A friend that loveth at all times must have the ability to show what? Affection. Because that's what love is. So if love, the word for love is ahab, or ahaba, to love, and a friend is ahaba, then we see that a friend and love, there's a correlation between a friend and the word love. Because affection can be sexually or otherwise. We can love food, we can love to sleep, we can love money, and all these things. That's why the Most High said, set out your affection on things that are above. But at the same time, he said that we must love Yah, and we must love the brethren, love even the stranger. So it talks about to be loved. In Job 19:19, we must show ourselves friendly, a friend that sticketh closer than a brother. But in Job 19:19, he said, all my inward friends, meaning all my close friends, they hate me. And they whom I love are turned against me. Now this is a reality of life. But then we know that they were never true love, they were never true friends. Because to have true friends, Scripture says, a true friend loveth at all times. So it said that there must be a transformation on how we think what love is. Because many people believe love is just about sex. But love is deeper than that. Love is deeper than that. The word love is ahaba. And it means, it carries the same connotation of that of Nathan or Nun, N-U-N, the Hebrew word N-U-N. You can spell it N-U-N or front or back. It carries the same definition. Nun. And Nun is where you have the word Nathan. The word Nathan means to give. It means to give. So that's why when we talk about affection, you can never love and don't give. If you love, then giving is an outward expression of your love. And that's why when we look at the analogy with a husband and wife, you will see that giving is fundamental to our loving. Because as it relates to husband and wife, you will see that each of us, in order to have a successful marriage, it calls for us giving. So we invest what? Our time. We invest our resources in terms of earnings, what have you. We invest compassion, love, servitude. It's all of that you invest in a relationship. And that's why when one person is giving your all and the next person is given nothing, then there's not love. The true love, the essence of true love, something is missing because it is a one-sided affair. And we know that Nun talks about both ways. Both parties must be able to invest their time, their energy, their resources and everything to their spouse. So it's about giving. So then love is an action word. It's an action word. Many of us will love with our mouth, and that's why Yahuwah must let the people know. How can you say you love Yahuwah, who you cannot see, but your brethren who you see? You despise him. How do we despise him? He said, when you even withhold the natural things, the carnal things, that you know he need, and you say, brother, go in peace, and you know that he's hungry or thirsty or he need clothing or what have you. But guess what? We're talking about love. We're talking about love. And in order for a stronger connection, a stronger relationship, then there must be that greater love. There must be that greater love. Because love and the giving is what sustains the love and relationship. If only one spouse is giving, then you end up in problems. But when both parties are giving of themselves, when both parties have understood the importance of giving and sharing, then the relationship is on a solid rock. Scripture tells us that even Yahuwah, Scripture says, he had demonstrated his love to us. How did he do it? They say that for Yah so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son. Yah so loved who? The world. He loved the world. And we know that this world he speaks about is for all of humanity, but specifically so, or more so for Yahshua. Why? And I will prove to you. Because the nations of the world, Yahuwah never made a covenant with them. He made a covenant and he said that we must be his peculiar people. Yahshua. But we will see the principle that the same way Abraham had was to leave his people and venture now, and Yahuwah now use him to be the father of this nation that he will now create. And this nation is Yahshua. Let us continue to look at another example of Ruth. We will look at Ruth 1:16. In Ruth 1:16, because we're talking about a friend. So in order for Ruth to become a friend of Yahuwah, what did Ruth have to do? Ruth had was to leave her very own family. She had was to forsake her people. And Ruth said, entreat me not to leave thee, or to return from following after you. For wheresoever thou goest, I will go, and wheresoever thou lodgest, I will lodge. And thy people, the seed of Abraham, the nation of Abraham, the peculiar people that Yahuwah had chosen, she now was abandoning her people to enter into a covenant relationship with the seed of Abraham, the friend of Yah. Thy people shall be my people, and thy sovereign one shall be my sovereign one. Ruth 2:11 and 12. In chapter 2, 11 and 12, we see the same principle again, where Boaz answered and said unto her, it had been fully been shown unto me all that thou hast done unto thy mother-in-law since the death of thy husband, and how thou hast left thy father and thy mother and the land of your birth, the land of your nativity, and art come unto a people which thou knewest not before. So we see that love again was demonstrated by Ruth unto Naomi, and Boaz was mindful of it because he saw her love. So love is an action word. So if we love, we cannot love in word and in deed, in word only, but we need to love in deed also. And to demonstrate this love, what did Ruth do? She had was to forsake her mother and her father and the land of her birth, and join herself with the nation of Yashurun. He said, and Yahuwah recompense thy work, and a full reward shall be given unto thee from Yahuwah, the sovereign one of Yashurun, under whose wing thou art come to trust. Because the nation of Yashurun, he is the sovereign one of Yashurun. He is the true and the living Yah. And all the other gods of the nation, they are all idols. So you cannot remain under your father's house, your mother's house, under the nations, worshiping the gods of the nation, and talk about you worshiping the true and the living one of Yeshua. You must come out like Abraham, like Ruth. So we identify the friends, and we identify that to be a friend of Yah, there must be in a covenant relationship with him. There must be a covenant relationship. He said that his favor and his loving kindness is unto them that love him and keep his commandments unto 1,000 generations. So we know that when we talk about the greater love, we know that this is Yahuwah. This love is based upon Yahuwah, reaching out and delivering his people. Your connection is really your relationship. And the relationship is the way in which you are commanded to follow Yahuwah. That is the way and the relationship that we have. So, my brothers and sisters, I thank you. I thank you for tuning in and being with us. So I ask you to like, subscribe, and share. Thank you.